Hey there, folks, and get ready for a piece of athletic lore that just dropped jaws across the entire racket sports community. Unless you have been living under a rock, your feeds and favorite sports networks have been blowing up with front-page news all day. People everywhere are just losing their minds over this stuff. It is wild. The big story: Alexandra Eala launching her gear into orbit after clinching an unbelievable victory over Dayana Yastremska. This is not just news, it is a massive show-stopping event. It is the exact type of internet-breaking magic that breaks out of the athletics bubble and grabs the attention of folks everywhere. Yet look past the crazy clickbait and the intense visual of equipment soaring through the scorching Southern California sun, and you will find a deeper narrative. It is a tale of absolute toughness, genius game planning, and a massive power shift in the women's game. Right now, we are breaking down every inch of what is easily the most intense, anxiety-inducing, and Hollywood-style showdown of the 2026 schedule to date. We are diving into the BNP Paribas Open, widely considered the fifth major tournament taking place in the sun-soaked paradise of Indian Wells. Everything was on the line, the crowd energy was off the charts, and how things wrapped up will go down in history. Let us rewind and build the scene for this heavyweight fight. The calendar says Saturday, March 7th, 2026. The global tour has touched down in the Coachella Valley, where the concrete courts require unbelievable stamina, insane mental toughness, and pinpoint accuracy. The round of 64 showcases a must-watch battle out on Stadium 3. Standing on one end is the 20-year-old phenom and national hero of the Philippines, Alexandra Eala. She is sitting pretty at a personal best global ranking of 32. Eala rolled into town with a ton of wind in her sails, after snagging a round one bye which totally proves her rising star power on the WTA circuit. She walked out there shouldering both her personal goals and the massive, fiery hopes of her home country. Staring her down from the opposite baseline was the powerhouse herself, Dayana Yastremska. This 25-year-old from Ukraine is a previous top 25 talent and major semifinalist, famous for blasting the ball, attacking from the back, and knowing how to handle extreme stress. It was the ultimate setup for a style war: the lightning-fast defense and smart counterattacks of Eala versus the heavy-hitting non-stop onslaught from Yastremska. Over the following 2 hours and 43 minutes, fans witnessed a grueling grind that pushed their physical boundaries to the absolute breaking point. The official scoreboard finalized at 7-5, followed by 4-6. Then another 7-5, locking it up for Alexandra Eala. Though honestly, those digits do absolutely zero justice to the pure uncut intensity of this showdown. We witnessed unbelievable winners, painful shifts in control, ear-shattering cheers, and a wild, pulse-pounding finish that analysts will be picking apart for decades. That crazy finish is exactly what broke the internet. Put yourself in the moment. We are deep into the third and final set. The anxiety radiating through Stadium 3 is practically solid. Dayana Yastremska has clawed her way back and is stepping up to the baseline to serve it out at 5-4. She is sitting on match point. The massive Filipino fan base, who basically turned this Southern California facility into a raucous Manila home game, falls completely silent. The dead quiet during the service motion is spooky, a total 180 from the loud cheers during the actual points. Yastremska throws the ball up, hoping to slam the door and punch her ticket to the round of 32, yet Alexandra Eala completely rejects the idea of giving up when pushed to the brink. Looking a guaranteed loss right in the eye, the young athlete digs deep and finds an inner toughness normally reserved for the sport's absolute legends. She wipes that match point right off the board. She drags her opponent into a brutal back-and-forth exchange, eventually forcing a mistake. The game drags into a nerve-wracking deuce, basically a mental prison where every swing carries do-or-die weight. The weight of the moment gets incredibly heavy for the Ukrainian, and suddenly the wheels start coming off. Bogged down by the non-stop pushback from Eala and the incredibly intense crowd energy, her service game starts falling apart. We are not talking about standard slip-ups. These are devastating, gut-wrenching double faults at the absolute worst possible times. A double fault hands Eala a chance to break. Boom, another double fault. The stands go absolutely wild. Eala steals the game back, tying everything up at 5 games apiece. Control of the match violently snaps over to the other side, but we are nowhere near finished. Eala protects her serve, going up 6-5, putting the pressure right back on Yastremska to serve for survival. You can physically see the panic setting in for the Ukrainian as anxiety completely wrecks her normally rock-solid delivery. During that ultimate game, staring down match points against her, the serve from Yastremska basically evaporates. Back-to-back double faults from a game-winning position lock in her loss. The concluding sequence wraps up with one last painful misfire off the strings of the Ukrainian. In that split second, the insane stress that had been bubbling up for almost 3 hours totally bursts, getting hit by a massive wave of pure relief, burnout, and extreme joy. Alexandra Eala chucks her racket straight into the concrete. It is a hurl driven entirely by raw feeling, definitely not rage, but a literal letting go of the crushing stress she just weathered. She drops straight onto her back. The stands go absolutely crazy, screaming out phrases of support, and that internet-breaking headline is immediately locked into digital lore. People everywhere are just stunned, tossing the gear, rallying back from the brink of elimination and the dramatic flare of that service collapse across the net. It mixed together into a crazy sports movie that a Hollywood writer could not even invent. Still, right in the middle of all the madness and the meme-worthy equipment, Chuck, a deeply moving display of fair play, happened that needs just as much hype. Once things calmed down and the fans kept up their wild applause, Dayana Yastremska, who just survived one of the ugliest, most visible service collapses she has ever faced, stepped up to the net. Even with the gut punch of losing and dealing with an insanely pro-Eala audience, the seasoned pro gave the young up-and-comer a super real heartfelt embrace. It was an awesome nod to a crazy tough fight, a veteran telling a new hotshot that they just put together an absolute thriller of a masterpiece together. Seeing them embrace brought the whole internet explosion back down to earth, proving that genuine sportsmanship is still the lifeblood of this elite sport. Fans got absolutely spoiled out there today. We witnessed fearless counterpunches, nerve-wracking baseline rallies, disastrous serving errors, clutch shots catching the paint, endless ad-scoring battles, and a chaotic finish that practically broke social media. Yet focusing solely on that crazy viral clip totally overlooks the brilliant chess match and absolute physical grind these two incredible competitors endured to reach that explosive climax. Focusing only on the tossed gear misses the whole picture. It is crucial to break down how this win actually happened. We have to dive into Alexandra Eala's incredible development, the intense mental pressure weighing on Dayana Yastremska, and what this stunning upset means moving forward at Indian Wells and across the entire Women's Tennis Association landscape. How exactly did a 20-year-old Filipina phenom take down a tour veteran in the sweltering desert heat? And what caused Yastremska's service game to completely unravel when it mattered most? Furthermore, how will this massive confidence boost impact Eala as she gears up for a brutal next-round clash against the fourth-ranked player on the planet, Coco Gauff? We have to peel our eyes away from those short, trending videos. Now is the perfect moment to dissect the game plans, the endless endurance, and the raw mental toughness that forged an unforgettable tennis masterpiece today. So, let us move past the surface-level hype and jump straight into a hardcore breakdown of Alexandra Eala's monumental triumph against Dayana Yastremska out here at the 2026 BNP Paribas Open. Grasping the true weight of this showdown requires some context. Initially, we need to trace the unbelievable rise of Alexandra Eala's career. Barely 2 decades into her life, she evolved from a hyped-up teenage prospect right into a hardened tour-level threat. This 2026 campaign proved to be a massive breakthrough for the rising star, pushing her all the way up to a personal best ranking of 32nd globally. Forget the underdog narrative, Eala now poses a lethal threat to absolutely anyone sitting at the top of the women's game. Spending her formative training days at the Rafa Nadal Academy clearly paid off, hardwiring her with an exhausting defensive baseline style that looks eerily similar to the King of Clay. However, calling her a mere human backboard seriously undersells her skill set. The rising phenom cultivated a ruthless return strategy, which ultimately served as the main engine behind her massive win against Yastremska this afternoon. Diving into the exact strategies powering this 2-hour and 43-minute grindfest, it is clear that Dayana Yastremska loves dominating points early. The veteran packs serious firepower on her forehand and backhand combined with a booming initial delivery that lets her control the tempo of the court right away. Catch her on a good day, and the Ukrainian powerhouse will hit you right off the stadium grass. Those unstoppable moments showed up constantly today, especially during that middle frame where she racked up a huge chunk of her 50-plus clean strikes. Driving the ball deep and fast, she easily suffocates anyone who lacks elite foot speed. Lucky for Eala, her entire skill tree feels perfectly designed to shut down heavy hitters, boasting reaction times that rank among the absolute best in the professional circuit. Combining elite court awareness with lightning-fast feet, she effortlessly soaks up massive power and fires it right back down the edges like an absolute master. Ultimately, the real war out there was fought over the backup delivery. While Yastremska's backup serve carries plenty of topspin, it completely lacks the terrifying speed of her primary weapon, a weakness the Filipina spotted instantly and attacked without mercy. Rather than retreating near the back fence to softly chip the ball over the net, the young challenger boldly crowded the baseline. Smashing the ball right off the bounce completely stole the geometry of the court, giving her opponent zero breathing room and immediately turning defense into a lethal counterattack. She wasn't merely blocking serves back, she was absolutely crushing them to keep the tour veteran scrambling from shot number one. You could clearly see this high-risk baseline attack paying dividends right out of the gate. Jumping out to a quick 5-3 advantage, the newcomer hammered away at every service game, though the veteran tapped into that exact same gritty resilience that carried her to the 2024 Australian Open semis to stay alive. Wiping out the gap completely, the Ukrainian tied things up and forced the rookie to feel the heat. That exact moment proved just how incredibly tough the 20-year-old is between the ears. Stepping up for the 12th game of the frame, she refused to let the blown lead mess with her head and kept her foot firmly on the gas pedal. Pushing the pace relentlessly caused her opponent to crack, coughing up 3 straight unforced mistakes to drop the opener 7-5 before everything suddenly flipped strategically in the next frame. Realizing that softly spinning her backup delivery was practically suicide against that aggressive positioning, the veteran cranked up the velocity and took way more dangerous swings from the backcourt. She started painting the edges to totally disrupt the youngster's rhythm. Going for broke worked brilliantly at first, rocketing her ahead to a massive 4-1 advantage. Showing off that signature stubbornness, the rising star refused to fold, grinding her way out of the hole to close the gap to a single point. However, the experienced pro stayed incredibly clutch right at the finish line, clutching out the middle frame 6-4 and sending us straight into a winner-take-all scenario. That threw us right into the final act, an absolute clinic on mental toughness and sheer bodily stamina. Crossing the 2-hour mark out in the brutal California desert heat, you could physically see both competitors running on fumes after surviving so many grueling baseline exchanges. Fans packed inside Stadium 3 ended up becoming the ultimate X-factor down the stretch. Local Filipino communities showed up in absolute droves, echoing deafening chants of "Isa pa," translating to "one more" in Tagalog throughout the entire arena. That insane wall of noise injected her with pure adrenaline, acting as the ultimate lifeline whenever her legs felt like heavy lead. Being out on that court felt brutally lonely for Yastremska. Swinging a racket is inherently a solo gig, yet going up against a super fired-up audience demands an insane amount of psychological focus to block out the noise. Things went from a solid back and forth to an absolute blockbuster during the tail end of set number 3, especially since Yastremska appeared to have pulled off a miracle. After scoring a break and shutting her opponent out in Game 9, she grabbed a 5-4 edge and stepped up to the line to close it out up 30-15. A mere 2 points separated her from punching a ticket to the round of 32, except Eala's whole mindset revolves around refusing to give up an inch of that baseline. The Filipino phenom rattled off a mind-blowing series of rallies, fighting off 4 separate match points during a marathon game while the arena practically buzzed with thick anxiety. You could hear a pin drop in the stands before every single serve, which made the absolute roar of the fans whenever Eala scored even more jarring. Watching Yastremska's service motion completely fall apart down the stretch offers a wildly compelling textbook case of mental collapse in athletics. Whenever a competitor's form crumbles in clutch moments, you can bet it has nothing to do with their body and everything to do with their headspace, a phenomenon often dubbed the yips, where overthinking short-circuits deeply ingrained muscle memory. Between the roaring spectators, sheer physical fatigue, and Eala relentlessly breathing down her neck on every return, Yastremska walked right into a massive wall of panic. Aware that her opponent was creeping up to crush anything remotely soft, the Ukrainian felt forced to aim for absolute perfection on every single toss. Striving for that flawless delivery while drowning under the weight of the situation totally wrecked her ball placement and threw her rhythm completely out of whack. What followed was a total disaster class in coughing up double faults. She gifted 2 points right into the net while trying to ice the victory at 5-4, and then staring down the barrel of defeat, trailing 5-6, she choked away back-to-back double faults when she had the advantage. Watching the Ukrainian unravel was tough to stomach, yet it perfectly highlighted the immense unseen psychological weight Eala had been stacking on her shoulders for the past 2.5 hours. The second that last ball sailed wide and Eala tossed her gear into the dirt looking totally thrilled, shocked, and drained all at once, it essentially capped off her entire life's hustle up to that point. Hurling that racket was just raw emotion spilling over after making it out of an absolute war zone alive. It showed a kid finally exhaling after pulling off the comeback of a lifetime under the brightest lights the sport has to offer. Still, the way things wrapped up at the center of the court added a really classy touch to the whole storyline. The fact that Yastremska chose to wrap her opponent in a tight, genuine hug right after suffering such an epic self-inflicted meltdown at the finish line tells you everything you need to know about her incredible sportsmanship. She totally compartmentalized the hostile environment and simply tipped her cap to the fantastic performance across the net. That pure class act turned a simple athletic showdown into a masterclass on how to lose with absolute dignity. Shifting our focus forward, this massive win carries some seriously heavy implications for Alexandra Eala's career. She fully backed up the hype that paints her as an up-and-coming threat who can easily hang with the seasoned pros. However, her prize for grinding through that 2-hour and 43-minute slog is a high-stakes showdown in the round of 32. Looming on the other side of the bracket is the fourth-ranked player on the planet, American phenom Coco Gauff. Gauff is coming off a breezy straight-sets dismantling of Kamila Rakimova, meaning she steps onto the court with fresh legs and the massive backing of a hometown audience. Getting to see these two square off again serves up a wild full-circle moment for the 2026 tour, especially since Gauff bounced Eala out of the Dubai quarterfinals barely 4 weeks ago. This looming battle between the Filipina and the American is practically guaranteed to be an edge-of-your-seat nail-biter. Gauff brings next-level agility, ridiculous sideline-to-sideline speed, and a backhand that can punch a hole through a brick wall. That being said, the American star is known to battle her own demons when it comes to serving, frequently coughing up double faults and leaving her second deliveries wide open for attack. There is zero doubt Eala will try to run the exact same hyper-aggressive return playbook she used to pick Yastremska apart. The real wild card is whether or not the teenager has enough gas left in the tank following today's absolute physical grinder. Is it even physically possible for her to bounce back fast enough to trade blows with arguably the best-conditioned athlete on the circuit? Should Eala manage to channel the same lightning-fast reactions and total lack of fear we just witnessed, we might be gearing up for the biggest bracket buster of the entire event. On top of all this singles drama, we cannot gloss over the fact that she is still alive and kicking in the doubles tournament. Teaming back up with fellow teenager Eva Jovic from the States, Eala kicks off her tandem run facing a scary pairing in Haley Baptiste and Jelena Ostapenko. Juggling a massive singles campaign alongside a fierce doubles bracket against legit specialists proves just how insanely conditioned she is, not to mention how hungry she is to level up every single part of her skill set. That nose-to-the-grindstone mentality is exactly why she has won over a global fanbase and cemented herself as the undisputed crown jewel of tennis in the Philippines. Zooming out to look at the Women's Tennis Association as a whole, barn burners like today are precisely why the women's game is enjoying an absolute renaissance of must-watch television. The sheer amount of talent across the board is off the charts right now. Seeing the 32nd ranked player throw down against number 52 spawned a clash so rich in raw talent, theatrics, and storyline that the whole sports universe had to stop and watch, showcasing the tour, electric personalities, clashing tactics, and wild momentum shifts. All of those elements blend together to create a thoroughly addictive broadcast that keeps fans glued to their screens. Alexandra Eala is leading the charge for this fresh crop of talent. She is not just here to play, she is here to steal the front page. She packs serious fire. She delivers world-class shot creation, and she rolls deep with an insanely loud fan base that cranks up the volume at any venue she steps into. Out in the California desert today, the rising star left no doubt that she is meant to run with the big dogs, proving that she can erase any gap, stare down any rival, and totally thrive when the heat gets turned up. That iconic racket toss is destined to explode across every social platform, playing on an endless loop to celebrate an absolutely mind-blowing win. Yet for anyone who actually sat through every agonizing second of that 3-set grinder throwing the gear, was simply the final exclamation point on a masterclass of pure strategy and raw grit. It felt like watching a blockbuster movie, keeping us on the edge of our seats from the very first serve to the last. The whole thing perfectly captured everything we love about pro athletics. The sheer beauty, the absolute agony, and the ultimate thrill of coming out on top. So, folks, that wraps up our massive play-by-play breakdown of a showdown that people are going to be talking about for a very long time. Sure, that crazy clickbait title screaming about the whole world being stunned when Alex Eala launched her racket after beating Dayana Yastremska definitely made us all look. However, as we broke down throughout this video, the real narrative underneath that flashy text is way deeper, wildly complicated, and a million times more incredible than some hyped-up caption. We completely unpacked the genius behind Eala stepping into those heavy returns, the mental block that caused Yastremska to totally lose her serve, and the crazy energy of the fans pushing their girl through the brutal California desert heat. Showdowns exactly like this one completely validate why we pour countless hours into obsessing over this amazing game. Being out on the court is a totally different beast, mainly because you are completely alone out there between the lines with zero backup. When your shots vanish, the whole crowd is screaming for your downfall, and your chest is on fire from a brutal 2.5-hour dogfight. You have to dig deep and fix it yourself. This afternoon, Alex Eala dug deep and figured it out. Staring down the barrel of a loss, she stood her ground without a single ounce of hesitation, proving she possesses the ultra-rare killer instinct of a superstar in the making. On the flip side, Dayana Yastremska, showing total class during the handshake after such a gut-wrenching loss, deserves huge props, really highlighting the incredible sportsmanship these women bring to the tour every single day. But we have to turn the page right away because the courts haven't even been swept yet, and it's already time to look ahead. For pulling off this epic upset, Eala gets exactly 0 breaks, drawing a gigantic round of 32 clash with the unstoppable American star, the world No.4 Coco Gauff. They're running it back after that quarterfinal meeting in Dubai, setting the stage for what should be an unbelievable display of top-tier athleticism and shot-making. Will Eala have enough gas left in the tank after today's absolute grinder? And can she squeeze Gauff on her service games the exact same way? Are all those passionate Filipino fans going to pack out Stadium 3 and turn it into an absolute madhouse for her again? Those are the massive storylines we're all going to be arguing about for the next 48 hours straight. Now, I'm passing the mic down to you guys in the audience because that whole thing was a wild ride, and I really want to hear what was going through your heads while it happened. Were you completely convinced Eala was done for when Yastremska stepped up to the line to close it out up 5-4? How do you guys explain Yastremska completely falling apart on her serve during those last couple of games? Do you think the deafening noise from the stands got in her head? Or was it Eala changing up her court position that caused all those mistakes? Beyond all that, I desperately need to hear who you guys are picking to win this massive upcoming battle between Alex Eala and Coco Gauff. Is the 20-year-old standout from the Philippines going to shock the world again, or will the American heavy favorite completely hold it down in front of a home crowd? Get into the comment section right now and leave all your opinions, your strategy analysis, and your official winner picks. I want to see a huge back and forth going down there, mainly because a crazy battle like this practically begs to be picked apart by the smartest fans on the platform. Hey, if you had a good time with this massive recap, and you liked hearing about the mental game and the tactics behind the hype, smash that like button for me. Doing that is a huge boost for our growth and basically pays for us to keep creating these super nerdy breakdowns for you all. Also, if you aren't locked in yet, go ahead and subscribe while ringing that bell so you stay perfectly updated on the entire 2026 season, especially with things heating up over here at the BNP Paribas Open. Seriously, a massive thank you to everyone for hanging out, for loving the game as much as I do, and for letting me walk you through easily one of the craziest showdowns we've seen all season. The craziness out here in the desert has barely even kicked off, and I'm super pumped to keep dropping content as the tournament moves forward. Catch you guys in the next video. Stay glued to the streams, keep being armchair coaches, and never lose that crazy love for the game.